Hi everyone, this is Bex, Planner UK, and I just wanted to film a really quick video which I've been wanting to film for ages. As many of you will know, I absolutely love fountain pens. I hate writing in anything other than fountain pen if I can help it. And I have lots of fountain pens inked up at a time because I do like using lots of different ink as well. Now, I haven't got that many expensive fountain pens. Most of my fountain pens are very cheap and affordable. And a few people have asked me which my favourite fountain pens are. So I thought it might be helpful to put a video together and to kind of share with you my favourite fountain pens, which cost less than £20. But many of the ones that I'm going to talk through today are even less than £5 as well. So there's lots of different options and I'm going to talk through. So I've got 8 different pens that I want to show you. I've kind of put them in order, so I'm going to count down and reveal my favourite. So the first one that I wanted to talk through, it always gets a lot of comments actually if ever I kind of share it on any social media posts, and it's this pen here, which is actually an imitation, I think, of a Lamy kind of Lamy Safari fountain pen, but obviously that it's got this kind of gradient that they've put on it. So don't get me wrong, you can tell when you're writing with it, it is quite plasticky and so forth, but it does write quite nicely. This one has got a fine nib, and you can find these quite easily on eBay. They're around kind of £2. So if you're really not sure about fountain pens, but maybe just want to find something really cheap to test out that looks a little bit different, then maybe that is something that you might want to try. This is a bargain again that I got from eBay. So this was a little bit of luck, I suppose, in terms of what actually is available on eBay. But this is actually a vintage fountain pen. It was a company called Platinum. Do you pronounce them, or Platinum? It's spelt like this. And I understand that the brand, I think, was bought out in more recent years. But obviously, at the time, I think it was quite an affordable kind of brand. Look how cute the nib is. Absolutely beautiful, isn't it? So yeah, obviously this is look of the draw. I can't say that you're going to go to eBay and necessarily find a bargain. It might take you a while to find it, but I'd class it as a vintage fountain pen, as in it's old, but it certainly wasn't an expensive brand, and it's certainly not a brand that I don't think is much sought after. But I quite like it because it's got this kind of italic nib, and it's just really cute. And it is a plastic pen. I think all the writing that was on it has worn off. You can just probably read it there. Platinum silver line, made in England. So yeah, it's just really cute. Inside it's actually got like a vacuum sac filling cartridge inside. So yeah, it's just quite cute, and it's just quite nice to write with because it does have this like vintage kind of nib. So I quite like it. And as you can see, I've got that inked up with diamine claret, which is quite a nice colour. I quite like that. So yeah, that's just luck of the draw really, whether you could find something like that, but I just wanted to mention it. On to the more kind of standard but cheaper ones. This pen here is Jinhao, I think you pronounce it, 750, Jinhao 750. So basically these are Chinese fountain pens, very common on eBay or AliExpress if you do have them. And again, if you just wanted to test whether you like fountain pens, this is kind of like an easy entry-level way to do that. So this has, I presume has got a broad nib. On eBay at the moment, I just had a quick look, and they're kind of $2.99 in terms of costings, and they do come in all different colours. So, but they are quite pretty. They are quite a broad fountain pen, as in they are quite broad in your hand. They are quite wide, so you may like that, or it may be too big for you. The kind of experience that you get from something like this Jinhao 750, it's not as smooth as the other pens that I'm going to come to, my kind of more favourite pens. But generally, most of them are fine. Most of them write fine. Some of them need a little bit of tweaking. And by that, I just have like a really thin piece of metal, which I kind of like open up the tines at the end to make the ink flow a bit better. Sometimes if I haven't used it even for like a day, I do just need to run my Jinhao fountain pens under some kind of water just to get the ink flowing, and then after that it seems to be fine. I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it, or that's the technical way that you should do it, but that's just, it kind of works for me really. So if you are using a cheap fountain pen, maybe that's something that you need. But if you do have one of the kind of better fountain pens, hopefully you shouldn't have that issue with flow, and the ink should just start flowing as soon as you pick your pen up, which is what I love. I don't like to faff about and run pens under the tap really. But with my cheaper fountain pens, basically I have those because if I want to, take them out in my bag and write with them, I'm not going to be too upset if they do get lost. So they're good for that, definitely. Another one, there's a lot of kind of Chinese pens. I presume this is another Chinese one. The Lanbitu, do you pronounce it? Lanbitu? 3059 is the model. And this is an imitation of the TWSBI Eco or Echo, however you want to pronounce it, which generally is a really nice fountain pen, but that generally costs about £30 to buy, I think, at the moment. So this is an imitation, which I think on eBay, a transparent version of this is £3.29. So I do quite like this because it holds such a large amount of ink. It's like a piston filling mechanism. So you basically can hold a lot of ink within it. You can possibly see, if it focuses, the ink kind of shining, because I have got a shimmer ink within there as well. So I quite like having the ink sloshing about in it and being able to see really easily how much ink is still in there. So yeah, again, for a starter kind of fountain pen, this is a fine nib. I much prefer kind of broader nibs. I like quite a wet flow of ink, and I think that shows off most inks to its best advantage, especially for shimmer inks or shading inks and things. But obviously, if I'm writing in my Hobonichi weeks and the writing space is quite limited, it is sometimes better really to have a fine nib. So I do have some fine nib pens. So the next one, again, this isn't a joy to write with in terms of it is very plasticky, unfortunately. But if you were looking for kind of a calligraphy pen to write with, this is by Manuscript, which I understand is another UK company, and it's got an italic nib, and I understand that on Cult Pens this is £5.99. So if you did want to kind of experiment with italic nibs, maybe this is something that you would consider. I'll just show you the nib. So this is a kind of wider italic nib than the vintage one that I showed you earlier. So as you can see, it is very plasticky, but it's more if you want to experiment with italic nibs or start learning calligraphy, this is kind of an easy and affordable way to do it. Now here, obviously, I've not written in calligraphy, I've just literally printed, but I just wanted to show you the effect that even if you're just printing with an italic nib, I quite like the kind of effect that it can give you quite easily. So now my top 3 fountain pens. The Coeco Sport, I've got this in a double broad nib, and this is also inked up with one of my favourite inks, Diamine Crimson. Now this is around £17.99 at the moment on Cult Pens, and again the Coeco Sport, it does come in all different colours. It's really handy because it is so tiny. So look, this is how cute it is. I have it in this pink colour, and it's really clever and well thought out because you can post the lid onto the end of the pen so that it's easy to write with and it kind of is very balanced in your hand. So I really like this pen for its broad nib, for its compact size. It's really easy to carry, it's really lightweight. Obviously I love this colour that I've chosen. A downside to it, I do seem to sometimes have a bit of a hard start with this fountain pen. It doesn't flow as well as the two other fountain pens that are kind of above it in the list, but it generally is fairly smooth and fairly consistent. But just ever so often I'll just have a little blip and it'll just skip a little bit and I'll just have to go over a letter, which I'm sure if I knew more about fountain pens and could tweak it, I could sort that out. But obviously these two that are above it in the list have just worked perfectly out of the box and I've not had to make any tweaks, so obviously that gets full marks for me. So on to my top two. I know a lot of people have the Lamy Safari and they come in many different colours. This is one that I've had for a number of years, and Lamy is a German brand. This, I have a medium nib in this one, and it's inked up with Lamy Neon Coral, which is actually an ink cartridge. This is kind of one of my kind of standard colours I absolutely love. So generally I don't buy ink cartridges, I always get the converters. Some pens do come with converters so that you can fill it up directly from a fountain pen ink bottle. If they don't come with converters, they generally cost a couple of pounds, but basically it means that you can then refill it with different colours as often as you like, and obviously you're not having to throw away plastic ink cartridges, which I don't like doing. So yeah, Lamy Safari, people kind of love or hate them really. I do have a couple of Lamy Safaris and they've always been really good for me, really consistent. They write really nicely for quite an entry-level pen. They generally cost under £20, so it's £19.90 on Cult pens for different Lamy Safaris. And yeah, I quite enjoy writing with them. The top pen, however, on my list, this is the pen that I always go to over anything else. So this pen is certainly the best value and most fun to write with pen and most reliable pen that I own. So basically it's the Faber-Castell Grip. It does come, I think, in a few different colours. It's not necessarily the looks that I love about it, although I suppose it is quite funky with the dots, the raised dots on it. But it's just so reliable. It writes really smoothly. It never skips. I never have any issue with it. I absolutely love it. And so this, I've got a broad nib in this pen. It's inked up constantly with Diamine Magenta Flash, which I suppose is like my signature kind of ink. And at the moment on Cult pens, the Grip fountain pen is £14.95, but I do absolutely love it. I think sometimes there are different deals and they do pop up cheaper on eBay as well. But yeah, I just absolutely love it. I don't know if I've been lucky or whether all the pens in the range are this good, but if I had to recommend one fountain pen, like a starter fountain pen, I would say go for this one for the best kind of writing experience. So I never have any issues with this one compared to, say, the Jinhao or the other kind of pens that were at the start of this list. It's absolutely fantastic. So the nib is quite cute, but yeah, it just writes so well. So yeah, if you're going to buy one fountain pen, that would be my recommendation, and do let me know what you think about it. So yes, if I was going to recommend one pen to anyone, I would recommend the Faber-Castell Grip in the B, the broad nib. I absolutely love it. For around £15, I think that would be the best way to start experiencing fountain pens and what it's like to write with fountain pens. And I just really enjoy it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, this kind of look at my favourite pens, my favourite fountain pens, all of which are under £20. Obviously, even if you just have a few pounds, like £5 to experiment with, just give it a go, see what you think. And obviously, if you like it, then maybe you will follow me down the fountain pen rabbit hole and never look back and never want to write in anything else. So I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do you love fountain pens? Do you write in fountain pens? What's holding you back if you don't, if you've never tried them? Did you write in fountain pens at school? I think that's where my love for fountain pens maybe started. At secondary school, we had to write in fountain pen. I kind of rediscovered my love for fountain pens a few years ago when I had a gift voucher and I decided to spend it on the manuscript italic calligraphy pen, and I remembered how much I loved it. I did learn calligraphy actually when I was at school, so I did kind of rediscover my love for calligraphy, and that reignited my love for fountain pens, and it's been a slippery slope ever since. So I will do another video in the future if you'd like to see it, of my kind of more expensive fountain pens. I don't have any fountain pen that's worth more than, say, £100, I don't think, but I am lucky enough to have a few kind of higher end pens as well, which is maybe a different writing experience again if you do have that extra money to invest. But I think for anyone starting out, give one of these a try and let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching.